What's up, unicorns? It's Megan the Unicorn on her way to work per usual. Um, not practicing, doing more posting more regularly because I gotta get it out there. Dismantling limiting beliefs and um, being seen, being perceived. Um, what's the word for today? What's the motivation for today? The motivation is, what does your self love look like? When folks say, don't forget your self care, don't forget, you have to love yourself. What does that look like for you? Initially, when I first started hearing about self care, I was working for DCS at the time, and we have, as a social worker, and just working in that field is pretty stressful. It can be emotionally taxing, mentally taxing, and physically taxing. Um, not in the same way as like a labor job, but like, taking up your time, you're on call and all the things. And so instead of reducing the work or spreading out the load or changing policy and making America great again, they would just say, don't forget your self care. We'll add the EAP program, Employment Assistance Program, where you get therapy or whatever. You can talk to a counselor or whatever. And so people would be like, well, what do you do for self care? And some folks say, well, I get massages and I go get my nails and my toes done. I go get a facial. I go do a spa deal, whatever, whatever. And that's still like only addressing like the symptoms or like the outer portion of yourself, right? Like the therapy, the availability of like counseling, that can address your mental self. Um, but what do you do for your self care? And so I used to do the same things, but my mental health was still out of whack. It's still, you know. So what did I begin to do? It had to My self care, my self love had to go a little deeper, right? I noticed when I would look at the time I was much bigger. I had, several children, so post baby body and all the things. Um, and so I remember looking at myself in the mirror sometimes in my stomach, my little stomach apron. It wasn't even little at the time either. My big stomach apron at the time. I would look in the mirror and I would be like, don't worry, I'm gonna cut you off very maliciously because it was ruining my life. I felt right tucking this belly into my pants and into my leggings. Dot dot dot. Um, and when I began well, and so other stuff like that, looking at my body, looking at it in disdain, or looking at my flaws, or looking in the mirror, only seeing my flaws, not appreciating myself, right? So, what does self love, self care look like for you? What it looked like for me in that moment and in that time was me appreciating the apron I had because it was there because it carried 5 children type shit. And saying, picking that apron up in the mirror and saying, thank you for carrying my children. Thank you back, thank you spine, thank you hips for doing what you needed to do so that I could bring my children into the world and still be a functioning human being, right? Did that mean I still wanted the apron? Did that mean no? But I loved on that apron. And guess what I told it? I said, it's okay. You gonna tighten up. I'm gonna work for these muscles to become tight. for the skin to come back in and to lose some of this fat. And that benefited on a multi-dimensional level. That was self-care on a multi-dimensional level for me. That's how my fitness journey began. That's how I began to change my mind. That's how I began to look at myself differently, look at the world differently. But that's when my self-care and my self-love deepened. Not through just dealing with the 3D. Because really, changing the way you eat and the way you live benefits you in more ways than just in this 3D. But nevertheless, the video is getting a little long. I just wanted to impart some encouragement. So, this is for somebody. Megan the Unicorn out.